Hi there, it's Mia Sarno, founder of Firewave Wellness, a digital platform for healing, vitality, and holistic health. I'm so excited you're here. We're interviewing Mike Amale today, the founder of Sacred Branding and a best-selling author. He's got amazing work, but here's the thing, is he's all about finding purpose, right? Because if you're on that weight loss journey and you're doing detoxifications, you're excited to get results, but often we want to dive deeper into that. So Mike, welcome to the show. So great to have you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mia. It's really exciting to be here.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about how you can help, supporting health, what your movement's doing, and how all of the things that really make it a deeper, more connected, experience while people are, transforming their lives.
Yeah, sure. Well, let me start by telling you how I wasn't on my purpose, or kind of how I got to this work. I don't think people just stumble upon purpose work. You usually do it when you really, really, really don't know your purpose for long periods of time. And that was certainly me. So, way back years ago, I used to own a PR agency, and I did a lot of public relations. I specialized in healthcare reform. It was really fun. And I woke up one day and I was vomiting blood. And that didn't stop for about 2 months. So every day I was vomiting blood. I went from doctor to doctor to doctor. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It was not an exciting time in my life. I went from the healthcare expert to the patient. And I like to say that I kind of went down the rabbit hole of alternative healing and got spit out in spirituality. So I tried everything because I just needed to get better. And miraculously, I did get better. And I felt like, okay, I've got to do this. This is my purpose. It finally makes sense. I'm meant to be a wellness coach. I'm meant to be an herbalist. And so I went to herbalism school for 2 years. I went to, wellness coaching school. I sold the shares of my company. I started my own business. I was coaching people and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. So I thought, okay, this doesn't make any sense. And as I was writing for publications at the time, someone offered me a book deal. And I thought, well, I guess I'll be an author now. That's my new thing. And so I wrote this book. I went on a book tour and I hated it. And I thought, like, what the hell? Do I not have a purpose? I'm here trying to help people find their purpose and I can't figure out my own. And so finally I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to the life purpose webinars again. I'm going to follow my bliss and, follow what makes me feel passionate and all this advice out there. And the thing that I've always been good at is writing. I got a book deal, after 3 months of business. I can help people with that, and it's going to be spiritual. I'm going to help them find their voice. I'm going to help them know who they are on the inside and go really, really deep. And now at this point, it's been a year that I haven't been, working in public relations. I was working a little bit, but I didn't have a lot of savings at this point. I now said, I don't care. I've got nothing left. I'm going to put every dollar I have into making this course work. And I got lighting kits and, marketing people and Facebook ads and you name it. Like, I put together the most kick-ass course in the world. I put everything into it because when you know your purpose, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to put everything into this thing, right?
Yes, definitely so.
And almost no one bought it. Crickets. And for those listening, and for you, Mia, I don't know if you've ever had this experience of feeling like you put your heart and soul, you put your whole purpose on the line, and the world told you it didn't want what you have to offer. It was crippling. And so I'm sitting there at this moment thinking, like, I give up. Like, I'm going to have to go to my own company with my tail between my legs, beg my former partners to take me back. I don't know how much money I'm going to be making at this point. Because I can't do this anymore. I can't keep struggling. I don't know my purpose. I don't know what I'm doing. And at the time, I decided, I've got to flip the script here. I've got to create a failure celebration, is what I called it. Because this is a really sad way to go out. I want to flip it and feel like, you know what? I did something this year. I tried things. I wrote a book. I coached a bunch of people. I helped all these amazing people. I did something. I healed myself. So my failure celebration was I went into a Facebook group I was in of spiritual entrepreneurs. And I said, I just want to celebrate. I got a year to do some stuff. And I'm going to offer you some branding sessions. Work I used to do in public relations, just branding sessions that would help you guys out. And we got on. I had 6 sessions in a row. It was literally 8 hours of work. It was back to back to back. I had to stop sessions to pee. I was like, this is my failure celebration. Next week, I got to go back to, try to get a job. So this is it. But these weren't the tech entrepreneurs I was used to. These were life coaches and psychics and health coaches and artists and all types of amazing people. And every single one of those 6 people said to me, Mike, you didn't just tell me my brand. You explained to me my life purpose in a way no one ever has. It answers every question I've ever had.
Talk about like amazing karma. Whoa!
So I'm sitting there like, what the? I mean, like, this is the one thing I'm trying to discover for myself all year. I'm doing everything you can imagine, right? And these people are claiming that through this random branding system that I developed years ago in public relations, they learned their purpose. It didn't make any sense to me. So I was exhausted. This has been a long day for me. But I said, I'm doing this for myself. Like, I got to do this for myself. And so I sit there with my whiteboard. I do the exact process. It takes me about 2 hours to do. And I ended up with just 6 words on that whiteboard. And the words were aligned, zany, free, unmistakable, successful, and vulnerable. To you,
okay, you have to go into the zany because I'm like, zany.
We're gonna talk about all of it. There's a lot to talk about. So to you that might not mean a ton to you, but to me, those words, I know this sounds crazy, but those words answered every question I've ever had. Why I am the way I am, why this business opportunity worked out, but that didn't, why the e-course worked, but like everything just started to click. And so I've got these words. And I didn't really know what to do with them because when you've got, your life purpose sitting on a whiteboard is 6 words, what do you do with that? I had no money. I had nothing going on. So what do I do with this? And I thought, well, okay, what's one thing that's vulnerable and zany and successful and unmistakable? Like, what's one thing that's all of these words that I can do within reach? Because I couldn't do a lot. I couldn't redo my website. I couldn't try to find a new job other than going back to public relations. So I bought a pair of bright orange Calvin Klein underwear because they were definitely zany. They were successful. I'd never had a pair of most of my underwear had holes in it. They were, unmistakable. They were vulnerable. No one ever sees in these underwear except for maybe my husband now. But, this was something really interesting that I could do. What I'll tell you about those underwear is that within 4 months, I had bought my dream home. I had no money at this point. Within 4 months, I bought my dream home. Within a year, I brought my husband, now husband, then fiance, or then boyfriend, on a surprise trip to Italy and proposed to him. I wore these underwear on that day, the day I got married in Aruba, the day I've launched every program, because what these underwear were the first container I had that I consciously created based on my purpose. And I started able to create relationships and friendships and buy a home. Like, I got a bathtub in the middle of my living room over there, okay? It's the zaniest fucking home you've ever seen. So this, this is a weird place. Boston real estate's not easy to buy. And I said, I need a zany home. I need white walls that are aligned. I need, free. It's got to be open concept. I need all these things because I'm consciously, now I know the answers, right? I know what's going to actually nourish me and what's not. And I think for the past 5 or so years, that's unfolded in monumental ways as I've started to help other people think about this work. But when we're talking about detoxification, we're talking about health, we're talking about wellness and vitality, we're all looking to be deeply nourished, right? And so often in our world today, we have what I call empty containers. So I am always drinking water, literally. So I'll give you an example because I drink out of mason jars. And the reason is I'm really lazy. So I'm always drinking water, but I hate refilling my water. So I got to have a big jug. But what I really want is the water. So theoretically, if I went to someone else's house and they gave me a small cup or glass or plastic or whatever, I'd probably drink out of it because I want the water. I don't drink alcohol. So if you gave me that same mason jar full of alcohol, I probably wouldn't be satiated because it's not about the container. It's about the essence inside. That's what I want. Now, most of us go through life obsessing over the container. We want the perfect job or relationship or, food or exercise or whatever without being really conscious of, will the contents inside, will the essence inside actually nourish me? Does it match my purpose? Does it match who I am as a person? Because I can have the most Instagram-worthy relationship, but never feel good about it. I can, go exercise or do some activity that everyone else tells me is great, but not feel nourished by it. And then I will self-sabotage. I won't stick with it. So I want to know what actually nourishes me. I don't want these, what I call empty containers. We live in a world today where we're constantly grabbing and consuming because we're starving. We're energetically starving, right? Like I want more food, more relationships, more likes on social media, more whatever, because I just want to get and money and whatever, because I'm not actually satiated. And the second that I say, well, wait a minute, instead of having to for all these things, what if I just had the one thing that would make me feel nourished right now? and I don't have to keep searching and seeking. And that's really what I'm interested in talking about today as purpose in the context of wellness and everything that we're doing today.
Yes, I'm so in alignment with you in that sense, because nourishment, what people often forget to like fully embody in themselves, is that we're constantly working towards homeostasis too, right? So we're always going back to that set point, like the universe, God, all of them, like we're acting for you, like we're going to get you into that whatever pristine environment, wherever your most actualization, all of those components are. And what's so exciting, Mike, is that like you saw it yourself. There's so many people, and I just want to like acknowledge that if you heard in Mike's story, what he's saying is that sometimes it failed. Sometimes the results didn't come fast enough. Sometimes we were like, it's got to go this way. We're going to lose weight this way. I know the detox program will work this way. And guess what? The universe has something completely different, right? There's a completely different essence in, like instead of you blindly eating meals and not thinking about the actual nourishment and how it's actually coming into your cells and transforming your nutrition and your holistic experience, it's because we're focused on the wrong things. So tell me a little bit more about what the essence is and how that looks.
Sure. So, when I think about life purpose, I think of it a lot differently than a lot of other people do. So a lot of times we'll say things like, oh, my life purpose is to be a life coach. My life purpose is to be a health coach, is to lose weight, is to make money, is to whatever. And a lot of times we're talking about content, right? We're talking about something we can achieve. Like I'm going to achieve being a life coach. But here's the problem when we talk about life purpose as achievable. That implies that we can also fail it. And how the hell can you fail your purpose? That does not make sense. It also implies that there was a time that you didn't have a purpose. Did you just not have a purpose as a baby? I'm pretty sure you had a purpose, right? That doesn't make sense. So the way we talk about purpose and the myths that we just internalize are actually harmful in many ways. And they make us feel really bad about ourselves and create shame. And most of the time, they're not cognizant of trauma. They're not cognizant of our lived experience. They're just aspirational. They're what we want to become. But they're never actually explaining the why, right? That word purpose means why. And so I think of purpose more as sensitivities. Now, we all have sensitivities, every human being, but we don't all have the same sensitivities. So you might be sensitive to music, and you can probably hear notes that I just can't hear. And someone else might be sensitive to movies, and they can see things in cinematography that I just can't see. Because when we're sensitive, contrary to popular belief, it doesn't mean fragile, it doesn't mean weak, it means able to sense more. We can split hairs, we can see nuances, we have more desires there, more gifts, but also more trauma because we experience things deeper there. And so if I were sensitive to freedom, which I am, I'm always looking for opportunities to be free, right? I'm always looking for opportunities to be more free. I'm helping others to feel free from their stories, free from their shame. I feel really trapped really easily. Like it's all my trauma is around me feeling stuck and trapped and confined because this is my sensitivity. So I'm going to experience it more than anyone. And we all have that. When we understand our sensitivities, we understand what actually nourishes us, because that's where we can experience life deeper. And so we get why this relationship didn't work out, or why, this food didn't feel good for us, or why this exercise didn't feel good for us, because we're asking the why. That's what the word purpose means. And so I have a gift that's going to help you think about your own sensitivities, but is it helpful if we start talking about a few ways to think about it right now?
Yeah, and I think there's a few of them that like apply directly to detoxification and weight loss, right? Because there's certain essences where like you have to show up, you have to be consistent, you have to have a certain level of discipline, and that's going to trigger certain things inside of your being because we got to the place we are now, and you have to give up what you have now to get what you want. And people need to truly feel that. So yeah, what are a few of them that you feel?
Well, and actually just because you said that, I want to say one other thing, because I think this is so interesting. This is really important for everyone here to understand, because I know when we're talking about weight loss, when we're talking about detoxification, the word shame comes up quite a bit. And we can all feel that shame. I've certainly had body image issues in the past. I've felt shame. I think a lot of us have felt shame in the past. Shame is never an effective tool for behavior change, but understanding always is. And that's really important. And I want to tell one story about, it's not exactly talking about weight loss, but we are talking about substances. We had someone come through our work years ago, and she had struggled with alcoholism. So she was really struggling with this. And she had a lot of shame around it. She felt, this was a huge shameful part of her story. And we went through and we discovered one of her sensitivities was enchanted. So she loved feeling enchanted. And as a little girl, she made fairy crowns and she would dance out with the flowers and she loved feeling enchanted. Exactly, right?
Beautiful forest, right?
But here's the thing. As she got older, you know, she learned it wasn't appropriate to do all these things and maybe it was childish. And so she started shutting them down. And it was at this moment that she realized that alcohol was the only time she ever felt enchanted. When she was drunk, when she drank alcohol, it brought her back there and she felt deeply enchanted. And understanding that, again, I'm going to say it again, shame is never an effective tool for behavior change, but understanding always is. There's a reason we're doing everything that we're doing. Everything is fulfilling some unmet need. Some of these sensitivities we're trying to fulfill, whether we're doing it through food or exercise or relationships or sex or whatever, we're always trying to fulfill our needs. So rather than shaming ourselves, we can understand why. That's what the word purpose means, why we're doing things. And then we can consciously either continue doing it or find a new pathway that's going to help us feel nourished so that we can step into what feels good for us. Does that make sense?
Yes, I completely agree. And that's where, you know, as we complete this show and kind of just talk about hunger, nourishment, and satisfaction, it's where you can explore those things inside of yourself if you are on that detox journey, or even you're not, and you're looking for that next level performance, right? Because all of us are doing our best and you know, following spirit and trying to live on purpose. And if we're knowing that we're hearing in that we need to shift, right, in our biology and our physiology, how our vessel as a body is expressing our spirit to be on purpose, like you're saying, Mike, then those sensitivities need to really like root into that foundation, because right now they're not rooted into the foundation of being for whoever's watching, or if you have that kind of angst inside of you, and rooting and knowing, because you're going to eat food every day. Like, we're not going to be avoiding meals. So whether you need to lose a lot right now, or you're just trying to maintain, or you're trying to detoxify and build babies, whatever that is, those foundations in hunger, nourishment, and satisfaction, those baseline understandings of where that sensitivity is in when you're feeling hungry, when you're questioning if you're nourished or not, or are you really satisfied? Is there really pleasure in these meals? Or is it something like the alcohol, right, where it's just this filler for an emotional loss that we're at? And taking that time and really, you know, spending the time, that's the reason why the gifts here that, you know, Mike so graciously gave to you guys, because it really is just going to explore a lot more of what those sensitivities are for you, and how you can live more on purpose. And we're always doing it, and it's always shifting, and we're always able to grow it day in and day out. And so I think this webinar could just really, really serve you guys. Mike, tell me more about this webinar you have.
Okay, yes. So, you know, before we jump into the webinar, I do want to say, you know, for those of you who, I want you to watch it because you'll get a lot more ideas. But if you're like, oh my God, Mike, my mind is spinning, I just need to think about my sensitivities right now, I'm going to give you my quick, you know, 30-second way to begin to think about this. Now, this is not sacred branding by any means. This is a very, very, very diluted 1% version, but it's going to help you get started. And that is make 3 lists. So you can pull out 1 piece of paper, you can pull out 3, make 3 lists. One of them, you're going to write on it, you know, my challenges or my trauma. And whatever trauma or challenges feels safe to look at, we don't want it to be re-traumatizing, but what feels safe to look at, you want to write down, kind of think about that moment, say what you felt in that moment. Maybe you felt unsafe, disconnected, abandoned, whatever comes up for you. And then next to that, what you wanted to feel. So just think about that, what you wanted to feel. Next sheet of paper, you're going to write down every job you've ever had. I know many of us say, oh, I'm all over the place, Mike. My jobs are very diverse. I know my jobs are very diverse, okay? Everyone's is. They have a common thread, because we're just pouring that same water from one cup to another. We're not interested in the cups. We're interested in the water. So what you're going to do is write down every job you've had and ask, what did I really do in that job? Not the job description. I mean, if you were a teacher, were you empowering kids? Did you help them to feel safe? Did you help them to feel connected? If you were an energy worker, maybe you were giving people clarity. Maybe you're also making people feel connected to source, to themselves, or whatever. Write those down. And the third category you want to do is write about your happiest moments, the most joyful. And again, there, what did you feel in those moments? Now, you can just go across these 3 threads, circle, and you will be shocked at how many times you'll see the same word coming up again and again. By no means is this the conclusive way to think about sensitivities, but we experience them in moments that are emotionally charged or triggering. And these are some big moments for us. And so that we might have 20 words. And if that's what we got to start with, that's a great place to start. But the webinar that we're talking about is why it's not your fault you don't know your purpose. And everyone here, I just want to say it all together out loud. It's not my fault I don't know my purpose. Such power in that, because we have shamed ourselves for so long. We have thought that, oh my God, I'm all over the place. I'm not making the money I want. I'm not having the body I want. I'm not having the relationship I want. Whatever stories we have, we've all got them. We think, oh my God, I'm a mess. I'm all over the place. How many times have we said that one? It's my fault. And that's not true. The way we talk about life purpose in this culture is completely backwards. And so this webinar, what it does is asks us to look at life purpose teachings and begin to unpack them, begin to remove the shame, begin to realize that doesn't make any sense, so that by the end, we can discover those sensitivities for yourself. And then you can go off and build the business you want, the relationship, the exercise routine, the health and wellness, the whatever, because all of those things are just containers for an essence. When you know the essence, if I got boiling hot tea, I can put that into anything I want. But if I pour into a cheap plastic cup, it's probably going to fall apart. So when I know my essence, I'm really conscious of which containers are going to best be to hold it. And that's all we're doing.
I love that. And remind me your essence, just so that we can leave with
yes.
They know exactly who you are, so that they can go follow you if they agree with these words, because I think they're just awesome words.
Of course. And hopefully you've been able to taste a little bit of my essence, which is aligned, zany, free, unmistakable, successful, and vulnerable.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. And we look forward to just, listening to that webinar and go out there into your communities and really do the best. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.